ইউএসএল একটা জিনিস মনে রাখবেন, ক্রেডিট কার্ড থাকাটা মাস্ট। কালকে যেমন আমি ট্রিপ অ্যাডভাইজার থেকে এই ট্রিপটার বুকিং করছিলাম, there is no other option except credit card and PayPal.
Assembly point for our tour to Mount Evans was at 8 o'clock next day morning from Union Station. Our driver cum guide was a young lady. She was a student doing part-time tour operator job.
I also saw that several of you are solo travelers today, so I'm hoping you can make some friends. So we're gonna do that thing, you know how they do in like middle school where you have to go around and tell each other.
It's a little south of Dingy.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, and I'm in National Park
Hello.
this weekend.
This is our team.
Ooh, lots of events going on in the van today. It's very much one of those states where you get mad props for being locally born here. I am not. I was actually, yeah, beautiful area, a little bit or a lot on fire right now, unfortunately. But I did find some similarities and differences from where I grew up in here. Similar a lot in the way the culture is and the way the people are. One thing I really love about Colorado in general, but Denver specifically, is that everyone is friendly. Like, it's really easy to just start talking to a random stranger and then a half an hour later you have like a new friend. I love that, and that's phase. Unfortunately, this is all coming from places like Oregon, Idaho, Washington, and California. So that the wind is blowing it over to the mountains and we're catching it over here. But last year in 2020, you know, in true 2020 fashion, it was the worst fire season we have ever seen in Colorado. I'm talking the top 4 largest and most intense fires ever seen in history within the same 2 months. Crazy, like that is not typical Colorado weather. And what happened is we had all this rain from the La Nina phase, and it gets run off from those fires, and I'm mentioning this because if you have a plan to go through to like Salt Lake City, west out this way, that is the primary road. That's I-70, the main road that goes from Denver out west across the mountains is currently closed down at the end. So you can get most of the way through 7 years in a row before the committee that was in charge of designating that amphitheater finally said, you know, it's not fair for Red Rocks to compete because it's so much better than every other place. Just, you know, back when people first started settling in the 1850s, long time before that even. So initial settlement in Colorado occurred 8 foothills, which is what we see in front of us here, both on this side and on the western side of the Rockies, even out into Utah, which is where Utah actually got its name, was the Ute Natives would congregate at Red Rocks. This was a location that they saw as sacred, a location where you don't just go out there, you have to ask permission from the gods to go out to that location. They recognized it as a space that was, now that Red Rocks is world-renowned artists. So if you know someone who's relatively famous, they probably have either played a show here before or they would like to, and the acoustics is mind-blowing. This space actually used to be considered a natural wonder of the world because it was so crazy good in the acoustics. It's no longer considered that because it has been developed at this point. It's not considered full. It happens to metal when it rusts. It turns that nice kind of reddy orange color. And I really enjoy the shapes that come out of this. It's like a sinking ship, like the Titanic, I'm assuming. And then on the right is Creation Rock. And that one was named apparently because you can see all of God's creation from the tippy top.
Are we going to be able to go in there or no?
We won't be able to go up to the top of that rock. It is actually very, very
Beautiful.
We're gonna stop here for just a second, check out this cave. Old rock. You're also free to climb up into this little cave if you want to get a picture in there.
Oh my God.
Yeah, well, I stepped off a bus and it just kind of.
Oh, you went over?
Yeah.
I did that in an airport.
Yeah. Yeah, we were actually.
Other than I thought.
We were in Pamplona doing running with the girls. I wasn't running. We were just. My husband works for the Columbia Restaurant in Ybor City.
Oh, you're kidding me.
So.
But that whitewash tells you where the best spots are in the cave. Sure. So over there in particular, that is a very popular spot to go sit and get out of the sun. I've actually seen birds physically fight each other for this space.
আমরা এইমাত্র রেড রক অ্যাম্ফি থিয়েটারে পৌঁছালাম। জায়গাটা সত্যি অ্যামেজিং অ্যান্ড ওয়েল মেনটেন্ড।
That's kind of silly. Eventually Denver agreed too, so after 5 years they did lift that ban. You can now see rock and roll shows up here along with any other genre. And then in 2015 there was a similar incident. This was just a little bit before I all in that one. And you don't want to have chunks of rock breaking off. Not only does that potentially injure people, but again this is sacred land. So right around here about 7 miles that way along the ridge. And because of that, Stegosaurus is actually our state dinosaur, which I think is really fun. Animals and some people. And the pandemic kind of cooled down, the vaccine started coming out, people...
ওয়েলকাম টু এভারগ্রিন। এই ছোট্ট শহরটি গড়ে উঠেছে গোল্ড অ্যান্ড সিলভার মাইনিংয়ের উপর। রকিজ মাউন্টেনের এক প্রান্তে এই শহরটি প্রতিষ্ঠা হয়েছিল আজ থেকে প্রায় মোর দেন 100 years ago. সকাল থেকে রকি মাউন্টেন চষে বেড়াচ্ছি আমরা এখন যে জায়গাটায় যাচ্ছি সেটার নাম হচ্ছে এভারগ্রিন লেক। অ্যাজ ইউজুয়াল খুবই সুন্দর। চলুন দেখাই আপনাদের। প্রকৃতির কোলে অসাধারণ একটি লেক, এখানে সম্পূর্ণ প্রাকৃতিক লেক। আপনারা দেখতে পাচ্ছেন অনেকে কায়াকিং করছে। সূর্য রকি মাউন্টেনের পর্বতশ্রেণী দেখা যাচ্ছে দূরে। আস্তে আস্তে নিচে নামছি আমরা নদীর দিকে। ওই দূরে দুজন ভদ্রমহিলা আমাদেরই টিমের, তোরা অনেকটা এগিয়ে গেছে। দেখতে পাচ্ছেন সামনে রকি মাউন্টেনের হরিণ।
Oh, look. That one sitting there eating looks like a big one.
And as we go up, that temperature is going to drop more too. They actually say that for, you can see paddleboarding is quite popular out here. People are always on this lake too. It's not just in the summer. This will freeze over in the winter time, usually by the end of October. It's a little skating area for ice skating and hockey. And ice fishing is really big up here too. But yeah, I love Evergreen, especially the downtown area. Coming here in the winter is kind of a trip too, because everything's like stop is going to be at about 10,500 feet. We're going to stop briefly at a little overlook called Juniper Pass for photos, and it's been very clear up there recently, so I'm hoping instead of guessing the day when it's going to drop through, you actually have to guess down to the second when it goes through the ice. They put this like really fancy water deactivated clock on it, so once it hits the water, the clock stops and it gives the exact second. He was caught for tax evasion. They took it away from him. Amounts to a bunch of knives strapped to their head. So, you know, it's really easy for those animals to get injured while they're doing the rut. Possible that they could get gored and the chillers like locked together. And when that has to actually have a submissive or a challenging male approach the dominant, and he indicates that he's wanting to challenge, and they start walking back and forth across each other, kind of like a joust. And that could be anywhere from a small herd of 5 or 10 to some areas, like in Rocky Mountain National Park, we actually have a herd of over 500 individuals. So one male to 500 girls, the rest of them get nothing. They have this ritualistic system, if alpine, and really the best way to tell that you're moving into this ecoregion is the types of trees that we start to see, or that we start to see more of, at least. Because the higher you go up in elevation, the tougher the climate is, the tougher the soil park. And what happened is we watched that fire blaze 17 miles an hour.
En route Mount Evans, we had a small uphill walk in the jungle.
On this thing, you can just walk down it.
আমরা এখন রকি মাউন্টেনের সাব অ্যালপাইন রিজনে আছি। পাইন, ফার, জুনিপার এগুলো এখানকার মেন গাছ। যদি আপনারা দেখেন মাইনিউটলি, দিস ইজ নোন অ্যাজ টিম্বার লাইন। বিয়ন্ড দ্যাট দিস সাব অ্যালপাইন ট্রিজ কান্ট গ্রো। Juniper Pass picnic ground. You can see a lot of people, they are camping here, but you'll be surprised, not a single garbage is lying here. That's truly fascinating.
In the winter, it'll still be frozen in March. This high, it starts to become more of like, you shouldn't be drinking alcohol. You know, I've climbed 13ers. I come up to these 14,000 foot mountains, and I actually have this little thing, if you can see it. This is my 14er flask. And I half fill this, so it's a half of a shot. And I take my half of a shot as a celebration. Because if I were to take any more of that, I would not be coming off that mountain for a couple of hours. It sticks with you. Near Lake Tahoe, I believe. And that one is 4,750 years old. Where are they? Oh, hey, look, there they are.
Oh, honey, that's sweet.
Hello.
Get my camera. Hold on.
These are Rocky Mountain bighorn sheep.
Hold on. Can we get a quick pic?
Yeah. Yeah, we got no one behind us, so we can just stop here for a second. I was just going to say we should be looking out for these guys.
Can I just say I hope people aren't feeding them?
Oh, they absolutely are.
I can see.
Yes.
And does that not tick you off?
Yes, it does.
Me too.
Yeah. You know, that's not a natural diet for them, so that can make them, you know, their body not work the way that it should be. It also makes them dependent on humans. So they learned to get their food from people, especially these youngins.
Yeah.
They get raised knowing that they get food from people, and that makes it a lot harder in the wintertime when they close this road down. There aren't people up here.
Yeah.
They don't know how to find food now.
I'm assuming somebody's fed them something right there.
It looks like that. Yeah, the males can get a lot bigger than that, up to about 500 pounds, even, and climb some insane cliffs, like the Hoover Dam, with no problem. Like just that teeny tiny ledge is enough for them.
Oh, I see. No.
Here, I'm gonna back up just a
Oh
tiny
my
bit.
gosh. Yeah, they're cute. Look, somebody's feeding them too because they're running right up to you. Oh my gosh, they're cute.
Aren't they? They are. I call them mountain beavers.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it really looks like a beaver, huh?
All right, guy behind me.
Your
Let's
pictures,
go.
yeah.
I'm so sorry.
Hold on, everybody.
There you go.
We're taking off.
Didn't mean to cause traffic. Yeah, but you'll see now that you know what they look like. You'll see.
At last, we reached the summit lake. It is in the tundra region. This kind of vegetation only can grow in this region. The summit lake is at the base of the Mount Evans, and the ambience is super chilly and the temperature is almost near zero.
They can be kind of hard to spot, but once we've seen one and you know what to look for, they become a lot easier to see. So we'll keep an eye out for them. And then there's also a rundown of the geological history of the Rockies on the way down, because I think it's really fascinating and a little more complicated than a lot of people assume. These Rockies that we're looking at right now actually aren't the first Rocky Mountain chain to be here in this region. It's the second. And for that reason, they are technically called the modern Rocky Mountains. And the ones before that, those ones were called the ancestral Rocky Mountain chain. And they were here like a very, very long time ago.
At last, we have reached the summit of Mount Evans. There is a high incidence of lightning reported here.